Hello and happy new year, everybody. It's Marci from wavesofcommunication.com with another video for you. First thing I want to do is welcome you if you are new to the platform and welcome you back if you've watched me before. It's been quite a year in 2020, and today I'm going to help you move forward into 2021 with a positive mindset. And I believe this is necessary to take advantage of the new year. It's very interesting how, we're moving forward at this stage in a completely different place than we were last year in so many different ways. It's been incredibly transformational in 2020. And the reason that transformation happens is because challenges happen, and we always make changes when we're presented with challenges. And one of the greatest things about our current situation that wasn't true a year ago is that we know a lot more about what we're in for this year. There's still many unknowns, and that is for sure. Timelines are unknown, solutions are unknown, because the problems that we came into, that we developed over 2020, we're taking them into 2021 with us. And I believe that the people who follow me in 2021 are actually looking at their position where they are right now in a lot better place than they were a year ago because of the challenges of 2020, and they rose to the occasion and took them over and kept them going. And so if you're part of that group, congratulations. It's been a hell of a year, for lack of a better way to say it. And incredibly transformational for all of you. So congratulations on embracing the challenges that you were presented with in 2020 and moving forward. But I also know that there are people who didn't get all the information and empowerment they needed in 2020 because you're struggling right now. And it's the aim of this video to help get you off to a good start. So when you wake up in the morning, you can look at your life with a different perspective because you have a plan of at least to know what to do right now. So what I have done and how I came to this idea today is I've been watching some Disney movies lately over this holiday with my kids, and I don't usually watch these shows because my kids are grown up and I'm too busy creating content. But I also have learned over this year that I get information and inspiration, both information and inspiration, to equip and empower me to move forward in my language facilitation mission, to train all of you, and to help me move forward in pretty much all aspects of my life. I'm always looking for more equipment and empowerment because those are the two things that I know keep me forward. That's why it's every video I produce is designed to do that for you. And so what I decided today to make this kind of fun and remind you about the ways that you can seek equipment and empowerment while you are also enjoying some Disney time with your kids. So this is a very Disney themed video today. And what I've done is I've pulled out some important things to look at the future with a filter. So, what I'm talking about when I talk about the positive lens right here, that I'm talking about this positive mindset lens for 21, I'm going to show you this. It's your positive mindset lens is the viewpoint through which you decide your next action. Because where you're looking is where you're going to step, where you're going to go, right? And everyone in the planet has the power to control your own mindset. You might not have control over things around you, but you definitely have control over your own mindset. And you can view any experience, the challenges, the positives, all of that, through a positive lens. The parents who have worked with me this year have proven it. And so now It is up to you to decide what lens you will choose to use as your filter for 2021. When you set up the lens to take your first right step, then you're going to be good about it. So, a couple of the movies that I saw, I'm going to share with you. And the first one is over here, and this is from Lilo and Stitch, right? This is an old movie if you've watched it for a while. And the quote out of this movie is from Nani, who's Lilo's big sister, and she says, sometimes you try your hardest, but things don't work out the way you want them to. Sometimes things have to change, and maybe sometimes they're for the better. So even though they had to let go of things that were really important to them, they figured out, all of these Disney movies are doing that. And so you can find inspiration in these little things when you see how they've overcome the things in their life. When you watch movies or you see people in your environment, there's a lot of stuff on TV that's going to be presented to you, stories of people. And you'll see these inspirational stories. They'll pop up on your TV, maybe in a Disney movie, maybe on the morning coffee show, maybe wherever. And you're going to see an inspirational story. You take that inspiration and use it for yourself. That's what I'm aimed to do with these quotes, is not just kind of rub it in your face. Because sometimes people can see these things and, oh, not everybody's life is like a Disney movie. That's not true. Your life can be like a Disney movie, because sometimes it's not all, there's always a lot of drama and chaos and stuff that happens before the fairy tale ending, right? And the fairy tale ending in your life is to solve the problems that are the biggest things that are going on in your life. And what I believe is causing, if you're watching this video, the biggest problem in your life is the fact that your kid's not talking yet. They just need to be using more spoken language. So let's move into the next thing that I want to remind you about. And this is from the movie Soul. It's a brand new one that just came out on Disney. And this character's name is Joe Gardner. And he has the opportunity to see the world through a brand new set of eyes. And by doing that, he learns that life is full of possibilities. You just need to know where to look. And I think sometimes parents are too busy looking in a direction, maybe the direction that you were going in 2020, the same direction that you've been going. And maybe it's time to look at the world through a new set of eyes and find a new direction to go. Because there are options for you. There are options for everything. Nobody's life is set in stone, especially if you're relying on other people to help your child. There are always other people to help your child. If the person that you're working with isn't telling you the things that you like to hear that are resonating with you about your child. They might make you think whatever, that they're right and you're wrong, but the point is your lens, how you're looking at the world, is your lens. It's not anybody else's. And when you look through the lens of possibilities, for new possibilities, not stuck in the same lens with the same product and the same deal and the same methods and the same whatever that we've been doing forever and ever and ever, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you got. If you want something new in 2021, you have to do what the people who took advantage of the chaos and challenges of 2020 and found new ways to do things in life. So it's full of possibilities. There are possibilities and probabilities that you can see improvement with your child if you take maybe the lens that you're looking through. If it's not working anymore, find a new lens. There's possibilities everywhere, right? If you know where to look. Okay, let's move into the next movie that I wanted to quote for you, and that is Rafiki and Simba from The Lion King. Rafiki says change is good, but Simba says, yeah, but it's not easy. And it's true. Change is not easy. It's not easy, but it is good, right? Both of those things are true about change. Because that's why they call it a comfort zone, right? When you're stuck in what you're doing, it's the same with that lens. So what kind of a lens are you looking through? Is this the comfort zone lens, but then you're thinking in the back of your mind, but I want a different outcome. I want something better. I want something more. I want something different. And if you do, then you need to go ahead and embrace the change. And yes, it's not easy, but it's worth it, right? Because that's what the parents who have figured it out and learned how to do something different than what they even learned before, what they were trying themselves before. You know, it doesn't matter who told you or where you learned to do what you've been doing. If it's not working, it's time for something new. And it might have worked for a while. That's why change is hard, because why would you want to give up something that worked for you, that got you to the point where you are, that it has some fabulous outcome for you? Why would you want to give that up? Maybe it stopped working. Maybe it's not working anymore. Maybe you changed in other ways, or your child changed in other ways, or the therapist changed in other ways. And the equation isn't the same as it used to be. A bright, smart parent who's going to take responsibility for guiding the future, which is what all this mindset stuff is about, taking the next right action. To understand what that action is, you have to be very, very clear about what you're doing right now. And if you don't understand why the therapist is doing what they're doing, it's time to start asking so that you understand, because change is easier, much easier, when the alternative is more attractive than what you have going on. In fact, that's the only way we make change easier, is if you're willing to take a leap of faith on something different, even when you're super comfortable where you are right now. It's going to be Happy New Year. I know it's already New Year in Australia, and those of you in the United States, we're getting ready to do our countdown, get our champagne. Mine champagne is chilling, ready for the 2021. I'm hoping that these mindset ideas are going to get you off to a good start. No doubt, there's no doubt in your mind, there should be never any doubt, that you should have a fabulous time every single day with your child using language facilitation, because the tools are there on my platform to equip and empower you. This video is just all about encouraging you to get what you need. You need the equipment and you need the empowerment, just like I do when I move forward with my business and creating this platform, and all the ways that I'm going to be spreading the word about language facilitation in 2021. I'm just getting started. And so should you, wherever you are in the process. If you've been working all hard in 2020, and if you're just getting started, it's time to take action right now, okay? But what do you do? How do you know what to do? The first step is get your mindset and get your lenses together to find the path to make the next right step. So that change, the idea of change, and that idea of change is hard, but change is good, is a reality that you have to contend with. And even though it's challenging to make a change, if it's more attractive, don't be afraid. Feel the fear and do it anyway, right? That's the best way to go about it. Because look, here's what happens with mindset. I give myself very good advice, but then I very seldom follow it. This happens to so many of us. Here's Alice from Alice in Wonderland. Look at her face in this GIF. She's not happy about the fact that she knows what she's doing is not happening right now, but somehow she's stuck in her comfort zone and it's hard for her to make that change. And if that's how it's going for you, I get it. I get it. Like I said, we know it's hard, and you can even trick yourself into, you know what to do, but you don't do it. Why is that? Again, it's that fear. So if you're afraid to make a change, why? What are you afraid of? What are you going to lose? What literally do you have to lose from connecting with your child more and doing something more? You might lose your appointment with that hardcore therapist. You might lose your place at the school. You might lose that teacher. You might lose the anxiety that goes around all that stuff. People who pressure you to do anything for your child. Think about how that feels. And if you are pressuring your child to do something, then think about, how that feels from your child. So if none of it makes sense, or if any part of it doesn't make sense, I guess I should say, it's time to let it go, because it's time to do something new. And don't respond. Now, here's how you do it. What do? You listen to Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins knows in every job that must be done, there is an element of fun, right? If it isn't fun, it isn't fun. Mary Poppins knew it back in the 60s, Walt Disney knew it because he wrote the movies. But I'm telling you, this idea of doesn't matter how challenging it is, because we're told by experts that the virus, the COVID virus, is gonna get worse. It's dire straits right now. Hospitals are full in places in the United States and other countries. There's new strains coming out. More people will be affected. The vaccines aren't getting distributed as fast as, people need them to be to get back to life immediately. So it's gonna make everything a little slower. We all have to be patient. You have time, especially this spring. The first 6 months of 2021, you can make your plan while you're waiting for the government or the health department or the science or the vaccine and all that. While you're at home with your family and you can take responsibility, get your lenses on straight, because if you don't want to waste this time. It's perfect for you. And what we didn't know in 2020 at the beginning of the year was that we were going to be home with our kids for a lot more time. And now you know it. Assume it. Don't assume it's going away and we're going to be opening things up not till next fall at the earliest. Our kids going to be back in school on a consistent basis, okay? There's still going to be a lot of responsibility you as parents have to do. Now is your chance to pick it up and make it fun. If you're going to do it, why not have a good time? You've got a choice. Right now, you can look at your next 6 months as a grueling, trudgery that you've got to get through with your child, with all kinds of behaviors and them trying to take over your household and schools opening and closing and you got exposed, so you got to stay home, and you got exposed, the teacher got exposed, so everybody's got to stay home. I mean, this kind of stuff is going to happen over and over and over all spring. If you're not aware of it, if it's not happening to you already, you've made that decision. You're making it now, right? You should, to be aware that what is happening at school is not defined. Even if it feels defined right now, it's not defined for the future. And so that's what you have to look out for. Be prepared for. Take advantage of. We know it now. We know it's going to happen. Now is your chance to put on your lenses your own. You tweak them, you change them. It's like I watched a Star Wars movie, another sort of, they own Disney now, with the character with the goggles that go over her eyes, and every single person she talked to, she would adjust those glasses. I don't have a gif of her, but I'm going to talk about her, because she would talk to one person and she would adjust her glasses and she would be able to communicate them, and she would communicate with another person and she would adjust her glasses, and her speech would be different. Her demeanor would be different. Her understanding would be different, because that character should be like you, where you're always paying attention consciously to all the information's coming in, because you're always on the hunt for equipment and empowerment. Because if you're going to take the responsibility, how are you going to know what to do, right? So platforms like mine, wavesofcommunication.com, my friend Ben, his mom, maybe autism is my superpower. Other moms, I'm meeting parents who are coaches. I'm meeting therapists who are doing online training kinds of things, where they're doing training videos for parents, teaching you how to do this on your own. Follow them. Watch them, learn from them. This is your chance. Be on the lookout. Get your magnifying glass out and look for equipment and empowerment. Because if it isn't fun, it isn't fun is both, right? Because you get to have a good time while you're, whatever, doing what you got to do. Okay, so here's the next one, right? And this is Dory. So once you decide to do it, look, Dory runs into Nemo. Nemo is in a bad mood because Nemo has been trying a whole bunch of stuff and it hasn't worked out for him, and he's exhausted and he's tired. And you could be like Dory, coming out of 2020 with equipment and empowerment, or you could be like Nemo here, who feels like he has neither. Okay, and that's why it looks like he does. And what does Dory say? Just keep swimming, because when you don't know what to do, you can do the one thing you know. And I know you know one thing. And if you don't, you can watch any of my videos to decide to do one thing. The overwhelm of that happens when you compare your situation to others. I'm not where I want to be. My child's not where they want to be. He's not talking. They're not doing. He's not ready for school. They told me he can't change. He's limited. He's got a diagnosis. You're going to hear this over and over and over again. It's your experience in your life. Dory, who has the gift of no short-term memory, she doesn't remember any of the bad things people ever told her about her in her life. She doesn't remember that she has a memory loss, even, right? Because people could make fun. People make fun of Dory because she has a memory loss and she says the same thing over and over again. I can relate. As you get older, it happens, right? So here's the thing. You could be like Nemo. You watch that movie while your kids have it on and you pop it up. Next time you see Dory and Nemo, you think about, at the end, Nemo had a happy ending, right? In that moment, Dory didn't care about the fact that they were stuck in a situation, even in the net, right? Just keep swimming. What are we going to do? We can't do anything. We're in a net. We can do nothing and let the net take us away, or we can do the one thing we know. Just keep swimming. Because those fish, they didn't predict the net. You're not going to predict the nets that are going to fall on you in 2021. There's going to be nets that fall on you in 2021. There's nets that fall on everybody every year. Just keep swimming. You know one thing you can do. But if you can't do anything and you get paralyzed, fight or flight, you leave the problem completely and let somebody else take care of it for you, or you decide that, I'm going to fight this thing and I don't care what they say. I don't care about the reality. I'm going to make my own reality. That might not help you either. But if you do know, look, the last time I was in this position, I talked more slowly with my child. I just hugged it out and calmed them down, and they started listening to me better. I stopped prompting them. I stopped forcing them because I didn't like how that felt. And the more your child relates and connects, then you're going to put that filter on. You're going to adjust your glasses, and you're going to tweak it more and more to use the things that you get a good response from. Okay? Instead of just owning, nope, this is my path. I'm going to struggle. I've got to struggle. I've got a child with this diagnosis or that diagnosis. I'm destined to be a struggling parent. If you say that aloud enough times, that's your lens. Okay? But you could be like the other parents who say, I know they told me my child can't, won't, doesn't, has, XYZ, blah, 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 blah. But when I connect with my child, I see the spark in them. I know what they know. They can't test them. They can't pass those tests at the places, but I know what my kid has going on. He just can't talk. He just can't share with me. I know it. And if you know it, most of you will, because all of your kids can do it. All of your kids can talk. And it doesn't matter how old, what diagnosis, anything. You can get better spoken language. Your kid just has to meet a few criteria, and you can check it all out on the website, whatever. Like I said, it doesn't matter. Pretty much everybody watching this, your kid can benefit if you learn how to be a language facilitator. But you have to keep swimming. You can't give up because this didn't work or that didn't work. You could have, probably have, tried 50 things with your kid. Everything from giving them something to take, some kind of pills or some kind of whatever, biofeedback, electrical shock, OT, PT, chiropractic, doctors, blah, 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 all this stuff that you've got other people to help you get your child's physiology all ready to go. None of it is going to work without you being their language facilitator. It'll do something. You'll see improvement. You'll see change because you're doing something that's going to cause change. Your kid might get a bellyache from the fish oil and B vitamins you're giving them. That's happened sometimes. They might start talking more because you're already doing language facilitation and maybe you helped them clear up. Maybe that you fixed their ears. Maybe, all those things happen. Maybe you're the one who's going to know. And if you don't know, then you're missing out on your responsibility, on your equipment and your empowerment. Because when you understand your child's physiological, emotional, and environmental input, what's happening in their body that could potentially be blocking their speech, then you know what to work on. You know what to fix. You know what to facilitate. If they can't hear, you facilitate hearing. If they're not hearing enough speech, you provide them with the speech. Don't farm that out. They can learn more from you than anybody else. Just keep talking, right? Because you know you can talk to your child. Dory and Nemo, all they know how to do is swim. When I was 75 pounds heavier than I am right now, all I knew how to do was walk, and I walked off 75 pounds, right? You can teach your child to talk by doing the right thing first, because the other things will follow. Don't worry about it. If you're always on the search for equipment and empowerment, both of those things, then every single step gets better and better and better. Yeah, sometimes you get knocked down by the storm or the bad comment somebody gives you or the crazy thing your kid does in public, and it makes you feel bad for a minute. So you get up, you dust off, and you keep stepping forward. Just keep talking. Just keep talking. And your child will start to use spoken language. Don't give up. Don't assume. Don't prompt. Don't try to pull it out. Your job as language facilitators is to put it in. Put it in. Nobody else is putting in the language that you are as a language facilitator. That's how this works. All right. I've got a couple more for you. This is my favorite movie of all of it. You control your destiny. And rocket science, there are no magical shortcuts to solving your problems. Merida from Brave. I mean, look at her. She's got the hair to show. Crazy mom hair, right? Exhausted mom hair. And that's it. You control your destiny. And, you know, I think the thing that stops most people is that they feel like they're not getting the equipment or empowerment that they need. They're not getting it from their family, their spouse, their therapist, their doctor, their somebody. But listen. Here's the thing. I've got this secret for you, okay? You are not alone in this process. You're not alone. No matter how alone you feel, you could be in a room full of people feeling very alone, but you're not. Not at all. Because all you need to do, literally when you are feeling alone, just look around, use your senses, pay attention to the subtle mindset reminders that will pop up in your consciousness. On a video, in a song, somebody's going to say something somewhere. They will. The second you reach out for, man, show me the way, it will show, because messages of encouragement and empowerment and equipment are everywhere, even in Disney movies, right? But it's up to you to use the messages you perceive, to know the right the first right action, the first one, the first step to take now, not someday when I wake up first thing in the morning, literally right now, the next interaction you have with your child. You will take the right action, and this is how you achieve what you want in 2020, and it's the only way, because you've figured it out in 2020. Rugs are being pulled out from under people left and right, from everybody. Because we're in such a dualistic situation in the world right now where people are picking camps and they're staying in one camp or another, and they're not using all of their senses, their eyes, their ears, looking around, they're watching their kids, they're seeing their environment, they're paying attention to their feelings and how they're triggered and not, and what they're doing. You know what I mean? It's very, very important that you are present and conscious about everything that's going on around you, because even if you feel all alone in the process, there is help. There's help, because everyone is connected to a greater power. If you are spiritual, you'll celebrate it in a god or gods that you worship, or however you go and whatever you know, that you get support, you know, and you ask for help. Whoever you pray to, whoever you hope with, whoever you just send out a message to the universe, right? Help me, Jesus. Whatever you do, because I do all of it. I mean, I send out messages 24/7. I started Waves of Communication all by myself. And what I said was, someday there's going to be a team. Someday I'm going to have a group of people to help me. Someday I'm going to be able to spread the word. And what happened was, the more I tried, every single day I did something else. I made another video. I wrote another blog. I had a phone call. I talked to somebody. I interviewed parents. I learn about what the messages and solidified it and got it together. And every single day I do a little bit. And what I do at the end of the day, I put my head on the pillow and I say, look, I worked at it today. I did well. And now every day, not only do I have that in my bank account, look at all the stuff that I did that helped other people, but the exchange that I get back is I also every single day have parents reaching out to me to say that this works for them and that it is helping them help their child. And that fuels me to keep going. And that's why I do. And that's what you need to do. All of you need to do it, right? Okay, listen, I've got one Q&A for you today. I had a reach out from a mom. Her name is Maida. And she says, listen, she says, I have a question for your next live, if that works for you. And here we are. So it was brilliant. I received this today. Perfect timing. My son is a little over 3.5. He is a late talker. He has ASD, autism spectrum disorder. We don't do ABA, which is applied behavior analysis. That's where they have one-on-one exchange-based kinds of repetitive things. But she says, over the past 6 to 8 months, I have been utilizing your strategies and he has been talking less. Help. I'm a big fan of your methods, but now I'm nervous I'm not doing this right or it doesn't work for him. Okay, so there's more, but what I wanted to say first about this is the fact that when you see a change in your child, they're babbling more, they're talking more, they're doing more aggressive behavior, they're talking less, they're mumbling more, they're whispering, they're leaving you and doing things, they're hiding on their own, they're being more sneaky. All of those changes in behavior are indicators that you are affecting your child's communication with your language facilitation efforts. Now, I don't know what strategies, when someone says, I like your strategies, I've used your strategies, I don't necessarily know because there's 350 videos full of them, but the typical strategies that people are using is they've stopped prompting. And if she's not doing ABA and she's not asking her child to say things anymore, then it makes sense that he would be not saying the things she was asking him for. So she might used to have to say, tell me I want goldfish, please. And he got to the point where she didn't have to ask him anymore. He just started doing it because he knew she wasn't going to give him the goldfish until he says, I want goldfish, please. Okay, so let me read a little bit more. So what had happened was she was prompting and she was getting some spoken language from her child. She started language facilitation and he started talking less. Let's hear more about what she said because she had a nice job explaining, okay? So she says, I have no idea. He does so much more mumbling, scripts and lyrics mostly, yelling, no words included in the yelling. When he is mumbling, it's very difficult to decipher. Often it was spontaneous. Now he doesn't do any of that, and I'm wondering if it's because I stopped prompting and put absolutely no pressure on him. He will use, so here's the other thing. He will use. So what happened was he stopped using all the things that she was having him do before. Remember I said she started doing that? He used to do all those things, but now he doesn't do anymore because she doesn't have any pressure on him. So, but he will use one word at a time usually, occasionally up to 3 or maybe 4. So he said, but it used to be up to 7 or 8. Alexa, play Super Mario Brothers star theme song or whatever. And I want goldfish, please, right? Now he'll say goldfish or Mario theme song, and it's less clear. So what is happening? So this is a really interesting concept when we talk about the kids who appear to lose skills, okay? So the first thing I'm going to say, and getting back, it's a perfect scenario with what we're talking about today, is the lens that you are looking at through to evaluate the progress in your child. So what the thing about Mara's situation here is that she told me, she changed what she was doing from more prompting to stop prompting him. However, she is expecting, she's expecting her child to have the same outcome when she has changed her approach. And this new speech that her child is using that is spontaneous, it has stopped. Like, so he's not scripting and humming anymore. He's stopped even doing because when he was with other people and he was prompted, he said the right sentences. I want goldfish, please. Alexa, please play blah, 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 right? And then when nobody said you have to use the right language, I'm going to give it anyway when you communicate, then it happens like it happens in everybody's household, and you use just only the language and spoken language communication that you need. And if that person, your child, has learned that if you understand their nonverbal communication, you will give them what they need. So the reason that you haven't moved past where you are now, and the reason that your child is using very limited speech, is because you took the first step by stopping pulling the speech out. But you must not be putting enough speech back in so that your child can use that speech on their own to share with you. And if your child is if you're only hearing from your child very mumbled talking that you can't decipher, guess what they are hearing, processing in their brain from you? Mumbled, low volume, probably too fast talking that your child isn't able to understand well enough to use on their own to say things. So even they've figured out for sure, because you're talking some to them, or maybe you've stopped letting them watch those rhymes and things, they're learning that there is other language to hear besides the same things over and over and over again, and the questions over and over and over again. Most parents just ask questions. When they stop prompting, they stop asking questions, but they also stop talking. This is what happens. If all the talking goes away, then the child's output goes away. When you first were talking, pulling it out, they were giving you responses to the questions because you trained them. When I say this, you say this, then you get the goldfish. And they were like, great. And then they learned, oh, I don't have to jump around and do tricks and backflips to get goldfish anymore. My mom is actually listening to me and responding to what I say without adding some kind of teaching on top of it, which is what you stop doing. So you're not getting anything out. Not because you're not pulling it. I mean, you're not getting it because you're not pulling it, but you're not getting it spontaneously because you're not putting it in spontaneously. So you need to talk more about the experiences that you're having together with your child. And what your child says is a reflection of what they are hearing. So most late talkers have slow and underdeveloped auditory processing systems, especially children who get an ASD diagnosis. Their brain doesn't process speech as fast as other kids. About 20% of the population has this problem. Most of them are getting diagnosed with ASD. But the reality is, language facilitation can help every person who has a underdeveloped language processing system, because language facilitation teaches the brain to process language. And once the brain learns to process language by watching and engaging and hearing it and observing it used functionally over time, they take those language processes that they see, that they observe, that is modeled for them, and then they try to use those on their own. And what happened with your child to change is, before they were hearing rhymes over and over and over and over again, and that's what they memorized, that's what they used. So they were using those rhymes to communicate with. Now they've heard more language for the past 6 to 8 months. You're not asking questions anymore. You're talking about the things that you're doing a little bit more. well enough that your child has picked out single words up to 3 or 4 words, you said, where they can communicate their wants and needs. They know that want, and they know that the name of the things that they want, and when they say want and the things that they want to you, it comes. So it's enough for them. And so they're not going to, in the moment, try to learn new things, but you're still thinking in the moment that you hand them a cookie that they should be performing for you like they did when you were prompting them, and now you're disappointed because you're getting a different outcome when you changed your effort. But like I said at the beginning of this video, that's what happens. And this is why it's very effective if you're stuck in this process to get a coach. And if you talk to me or your speech therapist or your developmental therapist or your OT or your PT or your parent coach or whoever you work with as a coach, if you talk to them about what you are doing with your child, they're going to help see from the outside, spot out some of these things that I'm reminding you guys about. And these little tidbits that you get in a 5-minute chat with your child's therapist about, oh, if I just change this little thing, then that's your first right step. You go and change it. If you're not talking like Marta, she doesn't know, wow, so now Marci pointed out the fact that I'm not talking enough to my kid. What do I do? Just keep talking. I promise you, if you're thinking about, is my child getting good language models from me? Is my child seeing me and other people use speech effectively? Am I talking slow enough for my child to understand every sound in every word of what I say? Because if you're not, how are they going to learn it? Garbage in, garbage out. Rhymes in, rhymes out. Questions in, questions out. Nice statements, descriptions, stories, pretend play, conversations your child sees and hears go in. Guess what comes out? All the speech and language you're looking for. So your expectations must match your actions, must match your mindset, and it all starts with this lens. What glasses are you putting on for 2021? That's how it goes, all of this. All right, let's see what some people are writing. I love this topic. 2021 is going to be epic for all of you. You have everything you need. Equipment and empowerment, and if you don't have equipment and empowerment, you know how to find it. Just get the detectives on. So, Laura says, my little girl said, Happy New Year, Marci. Happy New Year. I'm so happy to see you. I know that a lot of your kids know me, those of you who follow me because they watch me, and I'm so happy to see all of you. Love is essential. Sending out my love to all of you because I know it means so much. Our house is full of laughter, Laura says. Our house is full of laughter and fun and amazing closeness, and that's why your kiddo's talking. It's all about love. It's all about love. Laura says, she's homeschooling my little one was the best decision and change I made this year. She's thriving, and her speech has come a long way with her speech in such a short time using language facilitation, and that's amazing. So BB says, my 13-year-old started saying mommy when asked for what he wants for the first time. What? That's amazing. So he'll say, mommy, I want a thing. Or, so he knows that mommy does, and he knows that it's coming from mommy. And he started memorizing prayers. Thank you, Marci. So, Bibi, yay. I'm so glad to see that. I agree 100%, she says. You guys can do this. It's all positivity is where it's at for you. It's so glad. So, Laura says, believe in your kids and yourself as their parent. That's it. That's the lens you put on. Belief and trust and patience, that it's layers you got to peel away depending on how old your kiddo is. We're talking about changing habits, and being positive every day lets you be happy every day instead of waiting for someday when he talks I'll be happy. Because I'll tell you what, a word's going to pop out and it's not going to come again the same way. The way language emerges, it's not once you get it, boom, you've got it. It's kind of like riding a bicycle. At first, it's very wobbly, and it takes more and more and more practice to get good. It's a very complex process, spoken language. If you want real speech that, comes from their heart, love is essential, right? All right. So thank you, Laura and BB and Vanessa. So my son does say speech, but it's not clear or skips the ending. Is there a way you can fix it? I meant, can you teach me how to correct that? I was thinking about working with you. Vanessa, yes, there definitely is a way you can do it, and I can teach you how to do it. It's really all about training his ear to process the speech more clearly and fueling his motivation to improve his speech clarity. With speech clarity, it's a whole other motivator, right? And it's true that everybody watching me, you have a different situation going on in your household, completely different. And what's really important is that you don't compare, right? Don't compare your journey to anybody else's journey. Every parent who worked with me, they walk their own path. And it's different. The lens is different. Some of them need one method or another. Some of them, blockages in one section are different than another. Some parents have a lot of anxiety themselves. That's one of the biggest blockages. The kids are happy, right? All of you, your kids are happy because you negate your fun to give them a good time. It's what all parents do. You just don't want your child to suffer, so you suffer for them. And it's not necessary, not when you're looking through the positive lens of equipment and empowerment, because all you got to do. So definitely, Vanessa, I can help you with your child's speech clarity. I can help anybody. It just depends on your willingness to communicate with me and learn how to shift. Be willing to do that change, because just like, Mufasa, or it's not Mufasa, it's Simba says, change is hard. And if you're stuck in that change is hard mindset, you don't get to see how good it is, because you don't try it, and it's all fear. You don't have to be fair. So, Yanni, hi Yanni. My son is 5, speaking a lot more, but he doesn't put sentences together. For example, if I tell him I love you with all my heart, he says I love you my heart. What can I do to help him with that? So just like I was talking about earlier, where you hear what your child is saying and you're seeing what's missing, right? There's words missing out of that sentence. It's not perfect. And he's trying to imitate and say exactly what you're saying because you're expecting that. You said that phrase with some level of, are you going to say it back? Are you going to say it back? That's what a lot of people do when they say love you. I love you. Say it back to me. Say it back to me. Say it back to me. Kids get that nonverbal prompt. And your son did. He got it. So he's going to give it right back to you, Yanni, and say, I love you, my heart, because he feels the same way you're feeling, but he doesn't understand what that means. I love you with all my heart. He just wants to mirror the feeling that he gets from you when you use that special voice and you talk to him. I love you with all my heart. What kid is like, I love you too? That's his equivalent of I love you too. If you had said, I love you too, he would have said, I love you too. He's mirroring your feelings. So if you want the full sentences, it's just like the other parents that I talked about. You have to provide it over and over and trust that when your child hears you say it to them enough, and they hear it, you say it to other people, and they hear it used, and they practice it, it gets better and better, because a lot of parents don't get I love you with my heart. You're getting amazing speech. He's on the right track. He's listening enough, but he's not hearing the little words if he's omitting them. You're maybe not slow enough in your language models when you do that. That's how you would fill in the missing spaces. And if the speech is not clear, it's because your child's not hearing you speak clearly. Okay? It's the number one thing you have to do, regardless of the articulation that your problem. Even if your kiddo just can't say S's and R's. Your speech should be emphasizing S's and R's when you're doing language facilitation, so your child can see what it looks like the right way. without expectation of them to imitate you right away like you are, Yanni. And that's how it goes. So, hey, Angela, nice to see you. Thank you for joining. And Angela says Marci's the best. I was already talking about Angela's page. One of the things that you can do for equipping and empowering yourself is to look at some of these other fabulous parent pages on Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. Excuse me. When you see a parent who is providing stuff with their kid, they're doing things with their kid, they're spending time with them, they're finding their superpowers like Angela does, and then they use those superpowers to help them. That's the example that you want to take. If you see a page that is all about whining and complaining and people wanting quick fixes for their kids because they got a diagnosis or whatever, that's the fear-based energy that is a different lens that I don't recommend you engage with. It's so tempting. The negative is so tempting. I've even seen it in my advertising where there are people who scare parents into getting services. And there's no reason that you should choose a provider because you're afraid, okay? You should choose a provider because they equip and empower you, that you feel like that person is a support for you and your child and your family. And in 2021, I'm going to pull it up again because it's a really, really important graphic, right? Sometimes you will try your hardest, but things don't work out the way you want them to. You may have spent a lot of money. You may have done a lot of who knows what this year with your kiddos, and it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. If you're really feeling like that change is not coming, and you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, you know when it's time, okay? And don't let anybody talk you out of it. Because sometimes it's good. Sometimes change is really good. Hey, Brianna, thank you for joining me. I'm getting some of my oldest friends since I started on. It's only been 3 years, but it feels like, 3 decades of time here because we've worked through a lot on this platform on Waves of Communication with Christina and Summer, my new addition to my team, and Christina, who's joined me a couple years now. It's going to keep exploding. You're going to see a lot more of me in 2021 out there in your face reminding you that you are the best language facilitators. You as parents, grandparents, caregivers, everybody out there who has a late talking child in your life, it's easy to become a language facilitator when you take the next right step every time, especially because I've got a whole platform of resources to equip and empower you. So this is my book. I'm going to show you one more time again. I do every video. If it isn't fun, it isn't fun. Teach your child to talk faster than speech therapy. Available on Amazon. Go to my website, wavesofcommunication.com, and then you'll be able to learn about all of the resources that I have. You'll see my background. You'll see reviews where other people are doing it. Don't miss out this next year. You have the chance. Take advantage of it now, and I'm wishing you all the best. And I'm going to be here every Monday on YouTube and Thursday on Facebook with live Q&A where I answer questions just like the parents today. And I'm always going to have new topics. So if you have a question for me and you're watching this on the replay, the first thing I want you to do right now is like this video. If you've been watching all this time and seeing me, definitely like this video. That helps share the platform. Write a comment if you've had a fabulous 2020 language facilitation experience, because other parents need to know that it's not as hard as you think. Yes, it's a lot of work, but it's only because change is hard. It's fun every day to do language facilitation, because if it isn't fun, it isn't fun. And so that's the most important thing. And then if you are watching for the very first time, definitely head over to wavesofcommunication.com and watch the 90-minute class over there. It's going to show you how to use all the resources on my platform, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all over, where you can literally every day get a hit. get an equipment or an empowerment hit to remind you. So if you subscribe to my channel, like it, all of that, where you're going to get the notifications, hit the little bell, make sure it wiggles and all that. That way, every time I post something, you're guaranteed to get one other little ping of energy from me and my team in your life to just remind you that every single day is your opportunity, 2 to 3 hours, to get some language facilitation time. And if you do, you'll be like the parents who did this past year, and you will see new spoken language. Language facilitation works. Prove it to yourself. And if you're struggling, then it's time to get a coach, because it's the thing. Language facilitation is the way to go. It's what we're doing in 2021. It's the new intervention for kids who are late talking, is language facilitation. Come join us in our Waves of Communication community. Share this video with your friends, because I know we gotta go. We know we gotta do it. Yanni says, I want to thank you. Because of you, I started talking to my son a lot more. He is talking, and now he's talking a lot more. Yanni's got it right there. This isn't woo-woo. It's not magic. It's really functional. You're just neurologically training your child's brain with language, and it's great. Big hearts from Brianna and Laura. Love Angela and Ben. If it isn't fun, it isn't fun. BB, Happy New Year 2021, everybody. I'm going to get out of here for now, but you will see me soon on my next live video. Bye for now. Learn about everything we do for language facilitators on our website, wavesofcommunication.com. If you benefited today, please consider subscribing to the channel and sharing the resource with others. This little exchange is free for you and really helps us grow the platform to reach more parents and caregivers around the world.